I'm always I'm always amazed at. It has to do with the people who help supervise many of these centers, your board of directors.
Yes, all
and
volunteers.
I'm like, you know, we don't want you to miss an opportunity to say something about the group that you must be working with.
We have a great group of folks there. Our board of directors, president of our board of directors is Tom Bridgewaters, who is at the Rogers Group in Nashville. Dolores Lewis is our chair of development. Many of you know her as well at Tennessee State University. Deb Dewart and the president's wife of Tennessee State University, Ms. Hefner, they're working on our art show. They're working hard. And our volunteers do everything from working with our personnel to working with our finances. They oversee everything that we do. And without the volunteers at Bethlehem Centers of Nashville, we would not be able to do the things that we do. Volunteers from working in the shopping bag. We have teenagers right now who've given up their summer to work in the daycare center over at Bethlehem Center. And you know, sometimes a teenager can say something to a young child that the parent cannot say to that young child and be heard. So we need volunteers of all ages. You're
finding some very, very cooperative young people that you're dealing with at the center, are you not?
Yes, we are.
And I think that's something that we ought to dispel in reference to many of these young people that we're talking about, because they are there are a number that are very, very cooperative and willing to work.
There are right now, as I speak to you this summer, through the Job Training Partnership Act, the Mayor's Employment Training Resources Agency has placed 65 youth for us to place at centers. They are working at television stations, lawyers' offices, dentists' offices, doctors' offices, at the banks, learning from other people who work at those businesses how they need to contribute, what kind of skills they need to go on and be like that person, what kind of education do they need. And so it's great for those young people to have that opportunity this summer. And we'd like to thank those businesses that have opened up, because it's going to be these same young people who are going to be paying our Social Security one day. And they need to learn how to have good work habits and develop a good work ethic.
Okay, we've got about 4.5 minutes, Cersei, and before those minutes are over, we want to get in the fact that this art show is planned for the 29th.
The art show is Saturday the 29th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So come and enjoy the day with us. Be sure to bring your checkbook. We take Visa and MasterCard and American Express.
And some of the artists that are going to be there, why don't you run that list down
again? Ted Jones will be there.
He's at Tennessee State University.
Tennessee State University. Dolores Harris is there. Dolores' artwork will be featured on the invitation for the dinner on the 28th. So people who receive that invitation, I'd frame it if I were you, because that's going to be a wonderful piece of art. And Harold Krause is a world-renowned artist as well. His work is going to be featured on the invitation for the Saturday show. Greg Ridley, I'm sure many of your listening audience know of Greg Ridley. Earl Hooks, and we have Walter Whitmore, who is the curator for that show on Saturday as well.
And so you've got some very, very famous personalities.
Yes,
I mean, even though these are local Nashville folks, these folks are famous, they're international.
That's right. Their work is known all over the world.
And they've donated some of their work and given some of their time in order to make this
That's right. We have some people coming in from Atlanta whose work will be shown.
Very good.
In this show.
Very good. Now, what about volunteers? Again, I don't think that we can stress the fact that certainly you need volunteers, and we want to give you an opportunity.
We need volunteers. To the people who were a long time ago associated with Camp Dogwood, too, that's another area where we need volunteers. There were a lot of people I know in your listening audience who went to Camp Dogwood, and we are still working out there. We have kids going there. So if, for example, if a church group wanted to host an activity for the church youth and have them to mingle with the children at the center on a trip to Camp Dogwood or doing something like that, because I think we can't early enough get our youth involved in doing volunteer work, to give back, not to always take, but to give back to the community.
And churches, of course, can also make contributions
Yes.
through whatever method or whatever
Yes.
mean they wish.
Through the missionary offering, many of the churches take up a missionary offering for us to carry on the mission work of the church. A lot of the circles will volunteer to do a day in the shopping bag. It wouldn't take but one day a month if they wanted to volunteer. The churches are helping us out a great deal with our Meals on Wheels program. We need people to deliver a meal to a disabled or an elderly person, and you might want to sit down with that person and read the Bible to that person during that trip. So there are many things that are available for people to do. Anyone who wants to work with anyone from 6 weeks of age all the way up to people in their 90s, we have all of those volunteer opportunities available.
And these
at Bethlehem
activities are also self-fulfilling to
Yes,
the
they
persons
are.
that are involved.
Yes,
Why don't you
they
say
are.
something about the experiences you've had with that?
We've just had a great time. I know that one church individual, we had a group to take a hot lunch to a gentleman in the North Nashville area, and found out this gentleman is elderly and disabled and had just gotten out of the hospital, and a tree had fallen down on his house, and they took it upon themselves to go find someone to remove this tree, get his yard mowed. These are things he's not able to do for himself. One woman, when she got her hot lunch delivered, the volunteer noticed that there was a prescription sitting by her bedside. And this prescription had not been filled. And they said, well, why haven't you filled your prescription? And she said she didn't have the money to fill the prescription. And that volunteer called the doctor, called her doctor, and the doctor said, well, I have a lot of samples here. So it didn't take money necessarily. The volunteer went and got the samples so that the woman could have her medicine and get better.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Searcy. I hate to cut you off, but we're coming to the end of our time, and I appreciate you coming by and giving us that information. And let me encourage you again to tune in next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.